Well, it's been almost 4 months since the bodies of billionaire couple Barry and Honey Sherman were found in their Toronto home. Their murders shook the worlds of business, politics, and philanthropy, with the couple's legacy of generosity widely honored. But tonight, a new Maclean's investigation, published just this last hour, reveals another dimension to this story as police try to answer why the Shermans were killed. So I guess in the former days, we would say this article is hot off the press. It's called The Other Side of Barry Sherman, and Anne Kingston, who co-authored this article, along with Michael Friscolante, joins me from Maclean's. You really talk about the paradoxes of this man, and
Yes.
You start off the article by saying, by showing some of the people who he helped, which included someone who defrauded him. He paid his bail.
Yes, Barry Sherman was a very complex man, and I think the public, face we have now is only part of the picture. And yes, the story does begin with the kind of an amazing saga, decades old, where Barry Sherman bailed out somebody from an Oregon prison, a Toronto stockbroker, who had defrauded him in order for him to somehow recoup the money that had been lost. Very complicated, but a glimpse into the fact that he crossed paths with a lot of different people.
So he amassed a long list of enemies over his 50-year career, you wrote. He also admitted at one time that maybe he would be the target of murder.
This was several decades ago, in fact, and it was said, his friends now look back at that quote saying that he might be a target because of the various, we go into them in the story, but yes, that he was being sardonic, that was his dry wit in saying that. But the fact is that it was well known that he had amassed, he was a very combative, aggressive businessman, famously litigious, and he amassed a lot of enemies in doing so.
And it wasn't just the drug business. I mean, he was involved in a failed attempt to get a casino. Therapeutic pads for horseshoes,
Yes.
a bankrupt jewelry company, a yacht named the Great Gatsby. Like, there was a long list.
That didn't exist, in fact.
Right. So a long list of business ventures.
Well, I think that's one of the things the story doesn't, sort of uncover, and also points to the difficulty that police investigators will have as they try to figure out the complicated web of his life. His business dealings were incredibly complex. Outside Apotex, the generic drug company founded, he also invested in a myriad of bizarre, out-and-out odd investments that again brought him into proximity with a cast of characters we're sort of saying is out of a Coen Brothers movie. Very, known fraudsters and so forth.
But with all these business dealings came litigation and came courts. And the line that you used was, he used the courts as readily as others used the subway.
Yes, to get where he wanted to go. And the thing is that you have to understand about Barry Sherman is he was fueled with a sense of righteous certitude, that he was fighting this, the battle of the angels. But at the same time, he was the country's most active litigant. He fought everybody. He fought government. In fact, at his funeral, where government officials were paying tribute, he was suing, in the sense his company was engaged in battle on a number of levels against various governments.
We saw through all the visuals at the scene of the crime, his house, that it was for sale.
Yes.
We now know, which you've revealed, that Honey actually had a plot of land that they were going to build on, and a massive mega mansion. Well,
the story is very interested in the Shermans as a couple, not simply Barry Sherman. And yes, Honey Sherman was a kind of a very beloved figure in Canadian philanthropy, and the Shermans were known for their generosity, but also for their relatively frugal lifestyle. They were billionaires. But as it happened, Honey's current project at the time of her death was this quite a lavish Forest Hill home that they were having built. So that was a project, and that was the project, in fact, that would end up having them sell their house, which in turn opened it up to, real estate agents and others, and tragically is where their bodies were found in December of 2017.
Right, but a complex web tied in many business dealings, and even from the grave, he continued to sue.
Yes, in fact, that's one of the last points we made. And again, that was in a very high profile, another set of battles with the cousins who questioned the very origin story of Apotex. So all in all, just a massive, complex, bizarre web of circumstances. And the way he lived his life is going to make it very difficult to figure out who killed him.
Well, I look forward to the next article, because I'm sure there's still a lot to go through.
There certainly is.
Right, okay. And thank you for joining us. And this article is available right now at macleans.ca.